The Dam Port was a city gate of Bruges. It was part of the old medieval defensive ring around the city. The complex consisted of 3 different ports: the St. Nicholas Gate, the St. Leonard Gate and the Spey Port. The gates were demolished gradually, and in 1660 a new port was built to replace the complex. This port was given the name Dam Port. Around 1870 this port was also demolished. Of the entire complex, only one defensive tower can still be seen. The canal that now leads to Dam was dug in 1811 to 1814 by order of Napoleon Bonaparte. Joris van der Pijl was canon in the St. Donations Church in 1435. The painting, Virgin and Child with Canon van der Pijl, as seen in the VR Journey, was hung there. The St. Donations Church was the main church of Bruges until it was demolished by the French in 1799. With this symbolic act, they wanted to break the link between church and state after the French Revolution. Nowadays, the Burg is a major tourist attraction where you can visit the Basilica of the Holy Blood. The belfry forms part of a 13th century complex of halls, which served as a warehouse and a market hall in the Middle Ages. This impressive building is 83 metres tall and is composed of 2 connected square brick sections from the 13th century, surmounted by an octagonal lantern tower made of sand lime brick, 1482 to 1486. A 19-metre high wooden spire crowned the tower until 1741. Belfries have a symbolic meaning and bear witness to the confidence the cities felt during the late Middle Ages. Besides this, they belong to the oldest example of medieval, civilian and public architecture. The Waterhaller, a covered harbour, was Bruges' wonder of the world on account of its unique construction. The Waterhaller was mainly a warehouse for all the goods that came into Bruges. There was a large attic where these goods were stored. On the ground floor, under the open arches, were shops which gave on to the market square. Women of easy virtue occupied these at night. In 1787, it was decided in Brussels to demolish the Waterhaller, despite loud local protests. The Great Crane of Bruges was widely famous. Bruges itself was also famous, and her crane was a model that differed from those in the south and even those in the north. As a port city, there were a lot of foreigners that moved around by boat. That was a great form of news dissemination and made the crane even more famous. Vessels reached the crane square, where their goods were unloaded by the crane. The lifting mechanism of the crane was driven by young, strong men who walked in the large wheels of the crane.
Ah, there you are again. Nice to see you. Thanks to those magic glasses you're wearing, I can show you a bit more about 15th century Bruges and its role as a trading centre. Let's go through the gateway, and I'll give you a peek of the Golden Age. Our journey starts on the high seas. At the moment, we are in a caravel, flying the Portuguese flag. Have a look behind us. We're not alone, are we? Can you see all those ships? Ships from both Northern Europe and Southern Europe are all transporting merchandise, because at this moment in history, Bruges is the trading centre of Western Europe. Can you see the cargo on the deck below? It consists of dyes, spices and silk, all ready to be traded in Bruges. These seagoing vessels were so large, they could not sail all the way to Bruges. They berthed in an outer port near Bruges, Sluis. There we are. We've arrived in Sluis. This is where the merchandise is transferred to smaller boats or stored in warehouses. We'll be leaving here soon and navigating the canal through the polders, straight to Bruges. The merchandise which was shipped along this channel was only allowed to be sold in Bruges. So, we have already travelled about 10 miles, and we can see the dam port in front of us. For merchant ships, this was the only way to get into Bruges. It's starting to get dark, but don't worry, there's a rampart surrounding the town, so it's safe here. Welcome to Bruges. Do you recognize the keys? They allow Bruges to operate as a kind of inner port. On the right, you can see the great crane used to unload heavy items. Can you see the men walking in the tread wheels? We call them the crane children. Hey there! That barrel is swinging around pretty violently. Is it full of French wine? Or maybe it's just heroin. Oops! Cargo overboard! Everything all right? Now, watch your head. We're going under the bridge. Ah, have a look in front of us. In a minute, we'll be navigating into the famous Waterhalle. You can see the silhouette of the Belfry Tower next to it. Aren't they a beautiful couple, those two? The Waterhalle is a kind of covered harbour. Merchandise is stored here, or immediately traded on the market. Scottish wool for Germany, Spanish oil for England, Flemish cloth for Portugal, German fur for Italy, citrus fruits from Spain, or Flemish tapestries for Italy, ivory for Paris, Flemish paintings for Florence. All the best products you can imagine from all over Europe are traded here. For 5 centuries, this building was the pride of the great trading metropolis of Bruges. Tragically, it was demolished at the end of the 18th century. Historium stands on the very same site. Even today, the medieval canal still passes below. The stacked merchandise can be seen above you. If we disembark here, we'll be on the market immediately. But I've got a better idea. So, we can see the market perfectly from this structure. To our left, you can still see the giant Waterhalle, 100 meters long, 40 meters high. To its left, you can just see the tip of the great crane. And right in front of us is the Belfry of Bruges, of course. Have you noticed that the tower isn't yet at its highest? We'll have to wait another century for that. By the way, I hope you're not scared of heights, because to end, we're going to fly to the Berg. There we are. This is the Berg Square. It houses our beautiful town hall, and of course, the Chapel of the Holy Blood. But we have come here for St. Donation's Church, for here, in a side chapel, hangs Von Eyck's painting that was commissioned by Canon von der Paul. St. Donation's Church later became the Cathedral of Bruges. Sadly, however, it was destroyed following the French Revolution. Fortunately, the painting was saved, and we can today admire it in all its glory at the Groningen Museum, with Anna, or maybe I should say, the Madonna on the throne, and Canon von der Paul still on his knees. And here, our journey comes to an end. I hope you had fun, and still have time to enjoy all the beautiful things that can be found in Bruges. Hopefully, we'll see you again soon.